bringing in investors into the area to build more housing. I want to get your perspective of how you feel about upzoning.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the over densification that kind of brings often. What we're seeing is what it's doing is taking. Our biggest problem isn't a housing shortage; it's an affordable housing shortage. And in the name of affordable housing here in the city, they're allowing outside investors to come in and overdevelop some areas by knocking down what is actually affordable housing, the naturally occurring affordable housing, the older houses, the older apartment complexes, upzoning the area, allowing them to mow it down and then build up small apartment complexes in a single family neighborhood or those types of things. And to make it worse, they don't insist on parking, and they don't insist on the infrastructure.
The banker, the construction worker who might be listening and just saying to themselves, why does it even matter who's mayor? What positive impact can it have on me? They're all the same. What would your response be to that person?
Man, they always would say all politics are local. The people that can't go out and walk their dogs at night, they're fearful of the rising crime. I have seen that increase dramatically just in these last 4 years under this mayor. It's a guy who is just, nice guy probably, was probably pretty decent at writing legislation when he was in the state assembly. Probably was an okay city council person with, again, just being one of 9 votes on a city council. But there's a big difference between that and being a CEO or a commanding officer. We have a strong form of mayor here. I would say in other cities, maybe the mayor doesn't matter as much when they have a city manager. We don't have a city manager. I try to explain that to some of the San Diegans. They don't understand that. They'll see other cities doing so well. Nearby city, El Cajon, doing great. They've got a professional city manager running the city, and then the mayor is kind of a figurehead who's just one of the votes on the city council and sort of almost like the council president. We need to bring that back to San Diego because it used to work really well. The people voted thinking, gosh, let's just give the mayor all that power. And now it's been taken advantage of, getting that back on the ballot for us to get a professional city manager running the show. So
3 balls, 2 strikes, pressure is on. This is where we discuss real estate, property improvement, and business. Together, we'll strategize on how to win. Welcome to the Full Count. Welcome back to the Full Count podcast. Today we have a special guest, and we're going to be talking about community, because community thrives when a city is safe and also when the economy is growing, which leads to a healthy real estate market. So with that being said, we have the San Diego mayor candidate, Larry Turner, who's running as an independent. Larry, if you can please go ahead and introduce yourself, and thank you for being on with us today.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me today. I am San Diegan, who I'm working now as a police officer. I've been doing that for 9 years. I do community relations. I'm out there speaking with the homeless people all the way up to the business owners and the business associations, the churches, the schools, everything. Before that, I was on the SWAT team and trained all the new officers. And then my life before that was 23 years in the Marine Corps. I was an officer in the Marine Corps. I did that, retired as a lieutenant colonel before I came back to San Diego, and led troops around the world for the last 23 years during that time. So native Californian, lived all over the state, grew up everywhere. I'm a dad of just great kids, and got an awesome wife, and love my life, and just someone who was tired of seeing politicians wrecking our beautiful city here. I just wanted to do something about it. Tried to find somebody else to run for mayor, and everybody seemed to be a little bit afraid to do so, or it wasn't the perfect health in their life at that moment, and so I ended up just throwing my hat in the ring.
Awesome. Thank you so much, sir, for being on. Like we already mentioned, we appreciate you coming here. Andrew, you want to take it from here?
Yeah, so we're the Full Count podcast, which means 3 balls, 2 strikes. And that's when a batter's at the box, where they're either going to get out or they're going to get on base. So with all the pressure you have as running as a candidate, Larry, how are you overcoming all the pressure of going up against a seasoned candidate who's also the incumbent? Because I know that's a lot of pressure that's on you, and we just want to know if you could share, how you're doing that.
Yeah, well, it would probably never happen if it wasn't an incumbent who is just so bad as this particular mayor, and that's the reason I'm running. I'm not just saying that because I'm running against him. I mean, I would have never done this. Never wanted to be in politics. Never really didn't want this job. Was trying to find somebody else for. So, what makes it easier and makes it doable for an independent, not having the backing of a party? I've been a lifelong independent. It's not like I've chosen this as a tactical move, because if you did, it's kind of a dumb move. You lose all the money and the manpower supporting you with a party. But for me, that's just who I am. So it was an easy choice. But yeah, you wouldn't see an independent do so well. And right now we're neck and neck in this thing with a guy who's really plugged into the Democrat machine here in California. He's supposedly been offered a cabinet position if Kamala Harris wins. He's friends with Gavin Newsom. This guy's, he's one of the up and comers in the game, and he's got millions of dollars to spend on this. So here I am, a guy with no name recognition, no totally unpolished, no strings attached, though. That's the good part of it. So it's for me, it's enjoyable. It's just me doing what I always did with the police department these last 4 years in community relations. I'm just going around talking to the groups about the problems. And whereas before I just, my focus was, and my path with the police department was finding the way to help those people with those problems through law enforcement or through other city agencies if it came to that. But now it's the same thing. I'm still just going out talking to people, but it's looking at how to fix it as the mayor when we win in a couple weeks. So I really enjoy that, the campaigning, the meeting people part of it. I don't like the dirty, creepy stuff that happens. My wife and kids getting followed by private eyes, and just the whole constantly, people digging around. Old friends of mine in the past saying they got calls and solicited to try to tell, bad stories or make up some stories. So, all of that's creepy, but that's just like getting shot with a water gun. It's not, it's annoying. Yeah. It's not like it's dangerous. I've been through far more dangerous things in my life. So I just sort of laugh off a lot of that stuff where that would maybe bother more people. But I really think I got a good chance of winning. And so, again, it really isn't because of me. I'm a great guy with integrity and hard work. I put together really good teams. I've got great managerial skills, but it's only possible because this guy is so bad and has such a horrible record that just a regular guy could come in here and win.
Awesome. And the polling in local elections aren't as sophisticated as national level, but it does indicate that it is a close race that you have.
Yeah, yeah. I've came into this just saying, gosh, there's no way we can just let this guy walk across the end zone. And I'm sorry, I guess we got to stick with baseball references, right? But he's walk across the end zone and then and score a touchdown with nobody going against him. So originally I thought, just I can't look myself in the mirror saying, man, we just let this guy have this again with all the malfeasance and incompetence that is ruining our city and the city I wanted to raise my kids in. And it's just unsafe. They lie about it. They move human beings around like cattle, and make up phony numbers to it's really inhumane, and it bothered me so much. I said, got to run, got to just come in there and throw some punches. But originally thought maybe be going up against like Mike Tyson, but as we started doing this, I started realizing just how they're not that good at reaching the people on the other side. They're so used to being so sheltered and not having hard questions asked, or an opponent who is really calling them out for the stuff that they've done. So I have had so much more success than I thought I was going to have. I went in it to win it, but I was a little more realistic about it back then. But my gosh, I kept thinking, well, when is the big punch going to come from these guys? When are they going to stop playing with this new opponent in the ring? And it's just that they're incapable of it. It's very young people on his staff that have no life experience. Bunch of yes people in the room telling him all his ideas are great. It's like the emperor's new clothes over there. And here we are, like 2 weeks out. They've got, we've made up all that ground, and we're still getting huge financial donations coming in to keep the TV ads going. So this is going to be a great story of just the people. It's not me. I don't really care about the credit with it, but the people saying, "Hey, we're tired of the career politicians kind of screwing up our local lives."
Awesome. And San Diego is different than the rest of California. 4 years ago we had Falconer in here. And so it's not this weird pipe dream that there's this change of administration that comes in San Diego. So there's obviously a history of a diverse political perspective in San Diego.
Yeah, you're right. It had been a very conservative area over the decades before, and it slowly became more and more, Democrat run. The Democratic Party owns it now. The city of San Diego, that is, not the county. The county still has some more Republican strongholds, I think, but the city of San Diego is about 50% Democratic Party voters, about 25% Republican, about 25% independent. So, they've got all the 9 city council seats and the mayor. So it has changed a lot in the last few years. Yeah, that last mayor was a Republican, and it was kind of a interesting thing that he won because it already started shifting that way. But he did a really good job of reaching across, with everybody. And I think that's where I've done so well is, I keep talking about the San Diego party, not the right or the left. It's just the stuff we all agree on. We don't have to get drug into, national level things. And it's just about human beings dying on the sidewalk, safety, infrastructure, bringing businesses back, and I think regardless of what party affiliation people have, they all sort of it makes sense to them, and they're tired of seeing all the negative news on the TV about what's been happening in San Diego.
Hmm. And Andrew, he just mentioned issues that are bigger than the party. I think that you had some questions about regarding real estate upzoning, that I think people on every side of the aisle can agree is a problem in San Diego.
Yeah, we're curious if upzoning is something that's beneficial to do in San Diego. Yeah, a lot of it is about having the economics growth in San Diego happening, and upzoning is part of that by bringing in investors into the area to build more housing. But we want to get your perspective of how you feel about upzoning.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the over densification that kind of brings often. What we're seeing is what it's doing is taking, our biggest problem isn't a housing shortage, it's an affordable housing shortage. And in the name of affordable housing here in the city, they're allowing outside investors to come in and overdevelop some areas by knocking down what is actually affordable housing, the naturally occurring affordable housing, the older houses, the older apartment complexes, upzoning the area, allowing them to mow it down and then build up small apartment complexes in a single family neighborhood, or those types of things. And to make it worse, they don't insist on parking, and they don't insist on the infrastructure upgrades that need to go along with it. So, these seem like great ideas to a lot of the younger people who are dying to try to find an affordable home here in San Diego. And it's rough. I get that. But it's like handing, candy to a hungry kid. I mean, they're going to eat it and they love it, but they don't, it's not any kind of nutrition. And what happens is these places will just be affordable for a few years, and then they go to market rate, and then we're back at square one. So it's just it's been a bad move in San Diego. We needed to think a little bit more long term, but politics really hurts us when we only got that person making those decisions in the office for such a short period of time that a decade later they're already gone, and we're seeing these ugly buildings there that just don't make sense for our city. They've kind of killed the spirit of a neighborhood, and they've taken a lot of the things that made San Diego so great and gotten rid of it. Just keynote was San Diego just recently got this award for being one of the greenest cities in the country. But it was funny when you read the article. It was talking about the large number of single family homes with big green backyards. Well, this administration is going down trying to knock as many of those down as they can to build apartment complex on it. So that was nice. We got that award, but we're actually moving toward a state where we aren't going to be very green anymore. We're getting rid of those single family homes.
Interesting.
Doesn't it also, though, by knocking down single family, doesn't that bring more inventory to the market, though? Doesn't that kind of offset the rental prices from growing? And at the same time, how do you feel about these small landlords that have apartments, but they can't pay to fix the roof or the plumbing?
Yeah.
What do you say about that? Is there any way they can get any help?
Yeah, right on. Let me talk to that one first. So, yeah, there are those people, and they've had that old apartment complex, the roof, the plumbing, like you said. And man, when a guy comes in, or an investment group from out of state shows up with cash offers at 120% of the value of it, of course they're going to take that and run. Uh, it goes along with a donation usually to the political folks in charge to guarantee that it's going to get the permits to knock it down and do that. So all that goes hand in hand. We need to go in there and find creative financing for these guys who can't afford it. I mean, some of them just don't want to. They'd rather take the money and run.
Right.
We're not talking about those people. They can sell it if they want, but they're not going to have that guarantee from me that we're going to push to have that area zoned properly for that investor. So it'll drive away some of that investment that is thinking of just coming in and making a quick buck off San Diego. Uh, but yeah, helping them out, the ones that want to keep that place functional and not a dump. We'd like it to be a good, healthy place for like my kids when they get their first apartment. It's kind of that starter place, not necessarily where I'm going to be with my wife and kids, but something that is affordable for those people that are not making as much money. So the first part of your question was on the just in numbers, build more of it and it's going to drive down the prices. What we've seen happen though is, I guess that would work if we were a city state in Greece, right? A walled city where nobody else is coming in. But when these things are created, what we're seeing is all these out of town investors coming in and buying them up. Whether it's the people that are tired of San Francisco going off the cliff or LA, they'll sell their house, get the equity out of it, come down and buy something up in San Diego. So it's not even the local people that are taking advantage of some of the new homes that are being built down here. So it's one of my biggest things is trying to get the local developers to get that business to be able to do this, and then as well as trying to keep it more of it for sale. I found that we've got a ton of people here that want to buy a condo or a duplex, and unfortunately, when those homes are for sale, again, the outside investors, the short-term vacation rental folks are buying those up and offering far more money than that young couple can offer. They might qualify for $1 million, and there's $1 million condo or small, starter home available somewhere, and somebody's coming in and offering $1.2 million. They just can't keep up with that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, I see that firsthand as a realtor. I tend to see a bunch of these buyers. The only way they can afford to buy a home, especially young people, they tend to get money from their family members. And the ones that don't have the family, that have the funds, they're out of luck because it's constantly something I see. And they're calling them nepo babies because they're getting that opportunity. But not everybody has parents that have money.
Yeah, right on. I mean, we're looking at things like, with some of the city employees, we're losing police here at an alarming rate. We already didn't have near enough police officers, and then they're moving on to other cities where they're getting paid more and it's cheaper cost of living. So you make it on both ends. We're trying to find ways to get them zero down payment loans, and I've already worked with some lenders on that. Also, exploring some opportunities with investing some of our pension funds into our own employees. Now, again, that's just with city employees. It's not necessarily for everybody, but hoping we can try to find some type of creative work with some of the younger couples that are just being out purchased by those cash offers coming from outside the city. Again, if people realize that they're not going to be able to knock it down and turn it into an apartment complex, they're not going to be able to necessarily turn it into a short-term vacation rental, that will naturally bring down some of the prices because they're looking at it in that game, and we're not going to be allowing that as much. I'm not against short-term vacation rentals or development. I mean, we got to grow. We just got to do it a little smarter. We can't just do it with this idea of, well, the more we build, it's just going to bring the prices down naturally. That just hasn't happened.
Awesome. So, what would you say to that person who's working the shipyards, the railroads, a military service member like yourself, the banker, the construction worker, who might be listening and just saying to themselves, "Why does it even matter who's mayor? What positive impact can it have on me? They're all the same." What would your response be to that person?
Man, they always would say all politics are local, and I'd always hear people talking about how important it is. But I moved around so much, so you talked about the military person. For the others, it's a little different, right? They're in the same town, but I'd move town to town, and I wouldn't even be there for one election cycle. I'd be there 3 years and move on. So I didn't really get to see the difference between that a new candidate coming in running and win could make. Being here, this is my first time since I was a kid living in the same place for so long. I've been back now. I always came back on vacation, but being back home now for 9 years and seeing it under a couple administrations and seeing the massive difference. The people that can't go out and walk their dogs at night, they're fearful of the rising crime, the hypodermic needles in the kids' playground, the dogs that are overdosing on the fentanyl foils they're just laying around, the human beings screaming for help, going through psychotic episodes, the overdoses, seeing the yellow blankets the firefighters put over the bodies on the sidewalk. I have seen that increase dramatically just in these last 4 years under this mayor. It's a guy who is just, nice guy probably, was probably pretty decent at writing legislation when he was in the state assembly. Probably was an okay city council person with, again, just being one of the votes, 1 of 9 votes on a city council. But there's a big difference between that and being a CEO or a commanding officer of an
Mm-hmm.
organization, or a small business owner even has far more responsibility. So you come in and you're used to the whole the politician and that level of work you had to do, which, believe it or not, is not as much as you really need to do as the mayor. We have a strong form of mayor here. I would say in other cities, maybe the mayor doesn't matter as much when they have a city manager. We don't have a
Mm-hmm.
city manager. I try to explain that to some of the San Diegans. They don't understand that. They'll see other cities doing so well. Nearby city, El Cajon, doing great. They've got a
Mm-hmm.
professional city manager running the city, and then the mayor is kind of a figurehead who's just one of the votes on the city council and sort of almost like the council president.
Mm-hmm.
We need to bring that back to San Diego because it used to work really well. And we had one kind of bad city manager back in 2004. The people voted thinking, gosh, let's just give the mayor all that power. And now it's been taken advantage of by this guy and just running it into the dirt. And I'm all about getting that back on the ballot for us to get a professional city manager running the show. So if you come from a city that had a city manager, you might not have even known it. You
Mm-hmm.
saw the mayor at ribbon cutting ceremonies and all the potholes were filled and crime was on the decrease. And because you really had a person who knows how to do that, been doing it for 30 years, not just a politician.
Mm-hmm.
So here in San Diego, it matters a lot. You got a politician who's just trying to use San Diego as a stepping stone. The big city mayors are thinking that this is that next step. They can go right from big city mayor to, run for president or governor, because you've got that executive level leadership of a big city.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're stepping on San Diego, as that stepping stone. And again, if they don't have that skill set, 4 years is a long time to really drive the city into the dirt. And then in this particular race, it's a 2-term max. You term out at the end of the 2 terms.
Mm-hmm.
So if a person has been doing this bad, trying to get reelected in 4 years, at that next 4 years isn't just going to be just as bad. It could be a lot worse. He can really get away with anything he wants at that point because he doesn't have to run for reelection. So that would be that point I would bring to people. Say, how important it is to have the mayor. I would tell you far more important than anything the president could do to us right now. I know we all talk about the presidential election like it's this, World War III and all these things and
Mm-hmm.
all that. And yeah, I get all that, but gosh, 80-90% of the stuff that touches you in San Diego anyway is in the mayor's purview.
Interesting, interesting. And to anyone in San Diego listening, imagine in 2018 what it was like walking around the Horton Plaza region. And we all know a big event happened in 2020, but there's still things that could have been done to where it doesn't look like it does right now, that same region in
Yeah.
San Diego.
Yeah, it is really sad. I used to, I mean, I know the guy, but previous mayor, I know him, and as a police officer out there in some of the epicenter of the homeless crisis, I kind of badmouth him a little bit, like, man, I wish this guy would allow us to do more but man, he was moving slowly, incremental steps toward making it better, and I give him at least as grade of a C. But I
Mm-hmm.
was anticipating the next guy coming in. I really wanted to get somebody with an A grade, but the new guy came in, and I know they had a conversation where the outgoing guy talked to the incoming guy. Hey, just keep this plan in place. We're making strides, and we were. He just got rid of, disbanded everything, and it's really just falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
We lost all the ground we had made on helping with the humanitarian crisis, and it's doubled under the watch of this new mayor. Where the previous mayor, they had been seeing double-digit decreases. We were one of the only big cities in the country that was seeing double-digit decreases every year, with a good plan. It was a good, solid plan. I want to do a lot better than that. But yeah, doubling the problem has just been out of control, and so many lives have been affected from that.
And I know you don't have a lot of time. I did want to touch on that. Didn't the mayor before him get out early so that he could dedicate his time to doing his job?
Get out
Ins-
early? I don't know what you mean.
didn't he have another term he could have ran for? But
Oh,
his statement was he wanted to focus on being mayor
uh,
instead of running. Is that
no,
true?
the last mayor, he did his 2 terms and
Oh,
termed
okay,
out.
okay.
Yeah. So I think he had his sights set on, again, these big city mayors want to run for governor, and that was his goal. He tried to run in that Gavin Newsom recall effort, but didn't do too well in that. Now he came back to San Diego. He's running for county board of supervisors. But I tell people, and they don't believe me, I want nothing to do with this career. I really
Yeah.
don't. I'm done. I was going to retire in a year. And I got my two little kids. My wife and I were just going to travel and homeschool them, and just I was ready to embrace that. I already done all my cool stuff in the Marine Corps time and the police time, and I didn't have anything to prove. But we really wanted to stay here in San Diego and make this home for them. And it's just one of those things. We prayed about it, we talked about it, and said, okay, we're gonna be on the hook here for 8 years doing this, and I'm good with it. But I am already looking forward to 8 years from now to passing that torch off after we really work our butts off for 8 years to improve the city, giving it off to the next generation of leadership that we're going to have on our team, and already be mentoring them, and city over politics.
Absolutely. And, regardless of who you want to win this election, having folks like you who are inspired the way you are for the right reasons, we love to see it. And we would hope to see it on both sides. We don't always get that, but we are happy to hear that there is someone who's got that background with working with the community. If people don't know, they can look into your bio. You have a very diverse background, and it hasn't been that story that a lot of people like the pain of law enforcement officers these days. You were a member of the community in that regard. And so you definitely have a very honorable past, and it sounds like hopefully an honorable future. So thank you. Andrew, did you have anything else you wanted to ask? Well, I don't know
so
if
much.
you can stick around or if you got to go.
Yeah, I just like to say thank you guys for giving me the opportunity, and it's always a pleasure to get to meet the people. As I said at the beginning, I really enjoy that part of this, getting around and getting a chance to meet everybody. It's funny how earlier on, you mentioned about my background and my bio, and the Marine Corps time really framed who I was or who I am now. More so than I didn't join the police department as a young 22-year-old and grew up in the system. I came in with having worked in the intelligence apparatus at the national level. I worked a lot with the National Security Agency and did a lot of things with Congress and the White House back then. And so coming here and join the police department, I saw areas where we needed to reform the police. I was joining at 46 years old. I became a cop. So I was already kind of a man at that point, and saw, where we could correct some things here. But some of the disadvantaged neighborhoods who have some distrust toward the police, oh my gosh, here's a guy with short hair and a cop, coming in, and they just a lot of them turned me off right away until they got a chance to really hear me talk to them about really who I am. This is a job I do, and I'm proud of being a cop, but kind of some of the reforms I want to bring into the police department. And they finally started getting to know me, and I've got the leaders in those neighborhoods all endorsing me now, and telling everybody, hey, this is the kind of change. We got this big restart button getting ready to happen in San Diego across the board, but a new relationship with the police department, and a city hall that it answers the phone and answers emails and really gets out there and understands that we work for the people. We're their employee, not that it's like a mayor is the the ruler of the city, and all must subject themselves to his ideas. It's more, no, it's I'm me working for you. I'm out in the community, you're sharing with me what you need done in your neighborhood, and I help facilitate that. So it's been really well received, and right now it's a neck and neck race, and I'm really excited about this, not just for San Diego, but then being a story for the rest of the country. People seeing that an independent can win, and we can start making some change because we don't have to follow any kind of a party telling us what to do. If the governor is a Democrat or Republican, I'll work with them. But if they're screwing over San Diego, they're going to hear from it, and I think we can get national news on it. Same with the president.
Right.
Whoever wins, I'd love to work with them. Come down here. We got sewer problems. We've got fentanyl problems. I need the federal government taking care of that. If they're going to gaff us off, we'll stand by. I'm going to get MSNBC and Fox and everybody I can to, I'll be very loud on some of the things that we need to fix in San Diego. Whereas if I was with a party that, I would just go along to get along, and that's been hurting us for a long time.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Can't wait to see what you do with America's Finest City.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I can't, hey, invite me
really
back
great,
after we
and
win, man.
Sorry, what was that?
Oh, I said invite me back after we win. I can tell you how it's going.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We look forward to it. All right. Well, good luck at your event. Sorry your opponent couldn't make it, but hopefully we'll see it online.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll have it posted by tonight. Thanks a lot, gentlemen.
Awesome. Thank you.
Have a great day. See you later.
You too.
Thank you, guys.